Good morning, everyone, and how are we all doing today? One of the things Shelley and I remembered this morning is that for a lot of you, your clocks have gone back. So it may be a little bit earlier that you're hearing our voices. So, wherever you are, a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or night to you. It's Thursday, and that means we are getting it done with gratitude. And this month, we have been talking all about goal setting and gratitude as we bring the year to a close. I don't know about you, but I found the year moved rather quickly for me. And so we're coming to the end, and it's that time when, for a lot of us, we're reflective. We're looking at where we have been, the things that we wanted to achieve, how far along have we got with them. Are there things that we probably need to put on our schedule for next year, or are we able to really finish some of those things right now? I like to say, go for it now. The time that you have is now. That's why it's called the present. Make it work. And don't tell
Yeah.
yourself you don't have the time. You have the time, prioritize and plan for it. But this morning, we wanted to have a conversation about how we motivate ourselves. And one of the things that, and I'm going to let Shelley speak to it, is one of the tools that we spoke about, or that we will be speaking about rather, is writing letters as one means of one letting go. And also, it gives you an
Hmm.
opportunity to see where you are. Sometimes, when you actually make a note of all that you have actually done and achieved, you surprise yourself, because
Yeah.
you realize that there are so many more things that you actually got done than you realize. So you're so busy saying, "Oh, I didn't get to do this," or "What about this?" What that you really miss a lot of the things that you have done. So capturing it in a written form is very, very good. It's beneficial for us, and it really helps us to anchor in on it. So Shelley is going to really guide us through that. So before I let Shelley take it over, just to remind those of you who may not remember or who are joining us for the first time, I'm Karen Williams Thompson. I am a life and business strategist and coach, and I work with women to help them get exactly what they want in life, to have the abundance in whichever area of their life that they are seeking to have that. And we do that by working on any blocks that might be there, those stories that you may have told yourself, that you may have held on to and made them to be true, but which in fact are not true. So we need to release those and let them go. And then we create the magic, and the magic all happens when you identify what you want to achieve, but we create a strategic plan to help you get there, an intentional step by step actionable plan that allows you to step into your next level and have the success that you desire. So if this is something that you really want, you have two resources here. Tap into either one. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can find us on IG as well. And we're also on YouTube, where you can catch up on all of the episodes that you may have missed. So, Shelley, over to you.
Hi, good morning, Karen. Thank you. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, right? That's the phrase. Yeah, we're talking motivation this morning, and it fits smack into what I do, which is I help my clients identify and implement keystone habits that lead them to achieving their goals. And we start with that daily habit of gratitude. So we use gratitude as that foundation habit to get the momentum going, and then we identify particular habits that my clients can have that would really help them achieve their goals. And those are called keystone habits. And the thing with keystone habits is that I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, Karen, motivation gets you started, discipline gets it done.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I wholeheartedly believe in that. And habits are the areas where the discipline comes in to get it done. And so many people look negatively at motivation because motivation isn't what keeps you going, but it helps you get started. And there are many, many people who are struggling with getting started because they're not absolutely clear on their goals, as you mentioned. They want to start big, and when they start big, they have to start again. So, how do you start effectively? And my contention, as with everything else, is that we start with gratitude. And so, motivating ourselves to start begins with gratitude, and then making those steps continues with gratitude. And so, one of the things that we mentioned, I think we mentioned it last week actually in the session, we looked at writing letters to self, and we also spoke about mirror work, which are two strategies that can be used to really, you know, I guess, complete and motivate you when you're working with developing positive attitude to self, as well as getting ready to take those steps. Because sometimes, we talk about identifying the steps for the goals and just doing it, but for some people there's a, I guess, a half step before that, where we prepare to do it, so that we prepare ourselves mentally. We talk about mindset shifts and all those things. So we're preparing ourselves mentally to, to get those things done. And I've done both. Mirror work is something that I do regularly still. I haven't written a letter to myself recently, but I discovered 3 weeks ago, I discovered I was cleaning out one of my um drawers, that like my top drawer has one section for clothes and one section for things that I store that I want to keep away from, prying eyes per se. And I was just tidying up that part of it, checking through, and I found a letter that I wrote. It's in my handwriting, and the envelope is sealed. And what it says on the envelope is open February 2028.
You're a bit early.
Yeah, so I didn't open it because I am so tempted. I'm like, what do I have in this letter? But then I remembered when I was studying writing letters to your future self. And that's one of the letters that you can write, a letter
Yes.
to your future self. And
Hmm.
so apparently that's what I did, because I don't know what's in the letter. I don't
That
remember.
is going to be so cool, when you're able to open that letter and read it and just, have a wash of those memories. But as
Yeah,
you were
yeah, yeah.
speaking there, Shelley, I remembered I actually did that process of writing a letter. I was working with a coach at the time, and she had us write a letter to ourselves about forgiveness, about forgiving
Yes.
ourselves for the things that we didn't know, the things that we were not aware of at the time. And so we made other decisions and other choices. And then what was different for me, it was the first time for me, was that she then had us actually burn the letter. And the whole process was about the
Yeah.
release and the letting and the
Yes.
letting go. And so you had everything set up, and you came with your letter and everything. And then you went through that physical action of releasing it, of letting it go. And I found that a very powerful
Oh, yes.
exercise, because you will hear it said often, the person you need to forgive the most is yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you
Mm-hmm.
need to start.
Yeah, and I think in terms of motivation, that is one of the clearest ways that you can prepare yourself to move forward. Because what happens a lot is that, we talk about these things being baggage because they really are heavy and they weigh on us. And so sometimes when we're getting started, it's difficult to get started because we're carrying so much baggage. So you can imagine yourself, we talk about climbing the stairs of life. Imagine that you're carrying two, three suitcases, one in each hand, backpack, everything, your pockets filled, everything is just, balancing stuff on your head too.
Listen, I just did that on my trip to Canada, going to the train station. I can't imagine doing that every day. So let it go.
Yes. So, and that's so for me, those sort of visual imageries really do help to get clients to see, hey, this is what it looks like. And you're thinking, oh no, that's not me because I don't do that physically, but emotionally and mentally, that's what we're doing every day when we carry all these heavy things and we hold on to things from the past. We hold on to expectations of the future that we're so anxious about. And so there are all these things that we're carrying. And so letters to self can come many different ways. So I spoke about a letter to my future self. You spoke about a letter of forgiveness. Um, and we could consider that a letter to our um, past self. There's also, we can write to our past self, forgiving them. We can write to our present self, being, just letting ourselves know what's happening now and what we're experiencing and being grateful for it. And in all the letters, we can express that gratitude.
Yeah, and that letter to your future self can really also encompass your vision. What is it you want for your life? How do you want your life to look? But you write it in the future tense. You write it as if it's unfolding there now, because that's also a very powerful thing to do, So I'm getting up on the morning, I'm doing my meditations, I go for a walk, and I come back and I work on my business. You write the letter to yourself, dear self, this is what my day looks like, this is what my week looks like. And you take it like this. And so in your mind now, you've sent the message that you've created this is the life that you're having, and this allows the mind to shift and allows you to begin to step into that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also a really very powerful and useful exercise. And that particular exercise is also very good for goal setting, which is something we spoke about earlier. Because
Yeah.
once you actually have the vision of this future life, then the space opens up for you to say, okay, this is the vision that I want. This is the letter that I have written. Now let me identify the steps or the goals that I need to take to get there. And then after that,
Mm-hmm.
you take the other step where, okay, you have identified them now. So, what are the things that I need to do? What are the intentional actions that I need to take for each of these to help me get there to fulfill this letter to my future self? So it all
Mm-hmm.
ties together and really helps you to achieve that fulfillment that you are seeking. That fulfillment of, yes, I've achieved these goals that I've wanted to. Yes, I've made this happen. I've had
Yeah.
the impact that I wanted to have. I've created that influence. This is what that allows you to do. So, and when you think about it, Shelley, and don't know what your view is, but when you think about it, each of those letters can actually be a stepping stone to the other. So you release
Oh
the
yeah.
past,
Yeah.
you forgive yourself, and you look to the future. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a progressive action or progressive activity that one can undertake.
Yeah, so we release the past, we forgive ourselves for what we did and what we had to do and how we did it, and then we love ourselves now, which is a letter to present self, and
Mm-hmm.
then we write a letter to our future self, letting them know, hey, I know you're gonna be good because this is what is happening now, so I know you're going to be okay. And then there's another letter from your future self. So
Mm.
the future self letters, you can either write a letter to your future self or from your future self. So imagine that you're already in the future and you are experiencing, as you said, the actualization of your vision, and then you write to your past self. So this is future self writing to its past, which would be your present. Wow, we're getting to time complications now. But so your future self is writing to you, who you are now, saying thank you. And that's one of the a really powerful gratitude situation when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
your future self thanking your present self for taking the action that was necessary. So
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
you
yeah.
just you just said it. That really tips it right into gratitude, and making that a very practical action with gratitude. And when I was preparing for us for this morning, I was reminded about jars, having a gratitude jar. And
Ah,
I had
yes.
actually forgotten that I had done this a couple years ago, where was it every day or every week? But anyway, I think it was every day. We wrote something that we were grateful for. And I still have my jar. It's all decorated and everything. I was clearly having a creative moment. It's all decorated. And in there are slips of paper with just whatever I scribbled on it or wrote on it that I was grateful for. I'm thinking, so you did it for a year, and then at the end of the year, you opened it to look back and to see these are the things that you were grateful for, almost like reminiscing. And it was a really cool exercise. I did it with a couple of friends, and we just kept each other going because life can
Hmm.
happen. You get busy. Did you
Oh,
drop
yes,
in? What you're grateful
accountability.
for
You,
today?
you
So
know me and accountability.
yep. So a gratitude jar is also
Yeah,
something that people can do, and you can do that with your family. So it becomes something that's fun. It's not something that's, oh, it's another chore or another exercise that you have to do. No, you have a dual benefit. You can do it as a family. You could do it as a group of friends. You could do it on your own if you want. And then think about all the fun and the joy that you're going to have when you look back and you see all of those things that you are really that you're really grateful for. It's just like
yeah,
a whole whoosh of
yeah,
love and happiness
exactly.
and everything all
I
mixed up
love
in there.
that.
It's
I
a
love
really
that.
good feeling.
Yeah, and this month in particular, this is a month of Thanksgiving for many people. I know in the
Yes.
US and US territories, Thanksgiving is going to be celebrated. I believe it's next week, Thursday, would be Thanksgiving. And the whole atmosphere is one of gratitude. So out of all the months in the year, while I live gratitude every day, so I don't necessarily, isolate any one thing. For many people, this is an extra special month where they can um really embrace gratitude because it's all around and people are talking about it a little bit more than usual this month for many in many cases.
Mhm.
And it is the perfect time to sit down and write one of these gratitude letters. It's the perfect time to begin a gratitude jar if you haven't already done that, for those of you who are listening. And it's also a good time to consider and implement the mirror work, which is what I want to just touch on a little bit as well. And then we could come back to the gratitude letters because I know I always recommend to my clients doing the letters and doing mirror work because I feel like both have benefit and slightly different impact. Because when you're writing a letter, you're looking at words and you're visualizing in your mind's eye what you're talking about and all those things, and you're putting words on paper as a record. With the mirror work, you are looking at yourself in the mirror and speaking to yourself. So there is a different level of interaction and a different visualization because it's not just in your mind's eye right now. You are actually looking at yourself in the face saying, I love you, I forgive you, and I am grateful for what you've done, and I'm grateful for who we are.
Mhm.
And so, so those kinds of things in doing that mirror work and just like identifying different aspects of yourself that you're grateful for. One of my clients, she says, it's the weirdest thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean weird? She said, looking at myself in the mirror, saying that I love myself and that I'm grateful, you know, um, for what were the words she used? But I'm trying to remember because she has such an eloquent way of saying things. Something about I believe she was quoting Maya Angelou and that poem she wrote about the sway in her hips and all those kinds of things. And so
Mhm.
she did that when she was doing her mirror work because body image, self image, and so on was one of the things that she was working on. And just expressing gratitude for those things and looking herself in the eye and saying, I am grateful that I have these things, and I'm grateful for where I am right now. I am working on moving forward, but where I am, I appreciate the lessons I'm learning and I appreciate. And she said, it's the weirdest thing. And for me now, when I do it, it's a lot easier. So the good news is that it does get easier and it does begin to feel more natural doing it. But in the beginning, it's really the weirdest thing because when we interact with other people, we don't see ourselves. That's why, like
True.
StreamYard, like what we're doing now, streaming, and I'm seeing myself talking. It is the weirdest thing. It's something that you have to get used to.
No,
So,
that
yeah.
is really, really so true. And when you were talking about Thanksgiving coming up, I was thinking that people really go all out, especially in the
Yeah.
U.S. Those persons who are there and celebrating it. This is like one of the biggest holidays of the year. In fact, sometimes I often think that Thanksgiving is bigger even than Christmas for
I
some
believe it
persons.
is. I
And
believe it is,
people
yes.
always go that extra to bring the family together, to spend that time together, to have that quality time together. So I really agree with you. It's like the perfect time. It's like that ideal gift where you should write those letters to yourself.
And then you can
And
open it next Thanksgiving.
that's what I
And
was
and
going to
that's a
say.
tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
becomes then a part of your Thanksgiving traditions that your family and that you can embark on, because it really is a unique thing and it feels different. You
Hmm.
actually feel it. So
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
encourage persons to try the letters. I'm sure there are many theories and thoughts around them. But when you think about, don't overthink it. Just think about it at the simplest. It is a lovely form of release. It just allows you to be, because it's between
Hmm.
you, the pen, and the paper, or you and the screen. It's just between you. So there is no
Yeah,
judgment. There is nothing. You just get to put it all out there. What
yeah.
could be better than being able to offload all of that weight that you may be carrying and just have that lightness and that feeling of, huh, I'm not carrying that weight
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh, it is absolutely that feeling. So, all right. So then let's see. So we spoke about several different letters and the mirror work. Now the letter to your younger self would be the letter mainly of thanking your younger self for doing the things that were needed to get you where you are, for, holding out, for making the tough decisions, for just existing, thriving, and you get into some details because I think one of the main things with the letters is that there needs to be some details. So we're not just giving like an overall, I thank you for being you, and you end up with like two sentences. I mean, if that's what you have, that's where you begin. But I would say aim for at least a hefty enough paragraph by giving some details. So I thank you for making the decision to go to university, or I thank you for making the decision to leave university and start working. I thank you for, so whatever it is, we go back and we infuse the gratitude and we say thank you. We appreciate what happened, and sometimes some unpleasant things happened. We might not feel appreciation for the unpleasantness, but the lessons that we learned and that we can take from those, we can be grateful for them because they shape who we are and what we do and where, the type of people we're becoming. So that's the letter to younger self. Um, the letter for your present self, I like to call this letter the I see you letter because that's what you're saying. I see you, I see what you're doing, I see the effort you're putting in, and I'm grateful for that. Because I know with this effort and with the help that you're getting and you're seeking and you are taking the steps, you're making the changes, I know that we're in good hands, we're going to be okay. And so that's the present self letter. And then to future self, we can say, um, I know you're okay. And we describe what we envision. So I know right now you are experiencing this, and I'm so happy for you that you're experiencing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really excited that you were able to accomplish, and so you're writing to your future self, and then that future self writing back would be very similar to your present self writing to the past self, but it's not so much a forgiveness letter. It would be more of a gratitude letter of the future writing to the past when you're dealing with future self writing. So those are the ways that I would approach it and that I've guided clients to approach it, and really embrace that letter to self using gratitude. And then by the time you're finished with these letters, after each letter, you get such a boost, especially when gratitude is included. And we've spoken tons of times about how the serotonin and the oxytocin, and how we have that chemical boost from gratitude, and writing the gratitude down in these letters. It kind of what I like to call supercharges the gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
so you get an even extra boost. And so by the time you're finished with this letter, you are going to feel different. And I know you've experienced that, Karen. You are going to feel different and be even more motivated to continue, because it builds some excitement in you for the journey that you're on.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I know it sounds like a lot of writing and a lot of letters. Shelley, shared all of those just now. We don't have to do them all at the same time.
Oh no, you
So
shouldn't
you can
actually.
take your time and you can carve out those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe on your walk. Maybe you might go sit in the park. Maybe you might go sit at the beach, wherever you can have just some time just for you to just reflect and to think. And when you are feeling in that space, then write it. And one thing that Shelley said that I just want to reiterate, and that is be as detailed as possible. A lot of
Mhm.
times when we say things, we are like, people say, "How are you?" "I'm okay," or "I'm fine." But it was so much nicer when we actually share the detail, because then persons can actually engage and interact with you. But in this instance, when you are sharing the detail, the more specific you are, the more clarity you have,
Yes.
the more awareness you have, and then that allows you to take some very affirmative action from that
Hmm.
space. So think about it. Thanksgiving is soon upon us. It's a good time to start a new tradition. Think about which letter you want to start with first, or maybe you're going to do all of them, and gift yourself that freedom. Gift
Yeah.
yourself the letter to you, releasing the things that no longer serve you, but acknowledging and celebrating everything that has brought you where you are today. Because there have been lots of things that I'm sure when you stop and think about them, that have helped you to get to wherever you are on life
Hmm.
journey. So celebrate those things. At the same time, let go, release the ones that are not serving you. So Shelley,
Yeah, just like
final
that.
words?
Yeah, just like that, we're already through. Oh, I absolutely love it. My final words would be, do it. Take
Yeah.
take a moment and do it. And it it's okay if you're not sure about what to do in the beginning. That's fine. And that's why there are coaches and guides and so on, because you can reach out and say, hey, I want to do a letter to myself, but I don't know where to start. Send us a message and we can help you. Quick question, we'll give you an answer. Where do I start? How do I write this letter? So if you want that personal interaction, you can find Karen on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think we're both also on Facebook if that's where you are. If you're looking at us on YouTube, put a comment under one of their videos and we'll reach out. So because
Absolutely.
it's such a beautiful experience, and once you've done it, you would understand what we mean. But you have to do it. So get out there and as we say, get it done with gratitude. So
Get it
and
done with gratitude.
yeah, so we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week talking more about gratitude and giving you some of the strategies that we use with our clients, some of the actual practical work that you can engage in so that you can really infuse your life with gratitude and reap the benefits. So take care, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.